Hello, everybody. Scott Golden here with the Raw report for the 14th of September, 2020. And my gosh, um, should they just retire this program? Like, should they just pretend that they don't have a Monday night time slot anymore? This is just an abysmally bad program, and it doesn't have to be. I feel so bad for the talent. I feel horrible for the people that are risking their lives to be part of this, to put it together. I don't even understand who their target audience is any longer. It's just so bad. Anyway, so there were a couple of good things that I really did enjoy, but I'd say 80% of this could be thrown away. And I put this up against the season opener of Monday Night Football. Let's put it this way: I don't even like football, and I would have rather watched a football game than this program. Anyway, so we kind of move forward and open the program. We are told that from the beginning, we are told that Cesaro and Sheamus will take on the Raw Tag Team Champions. They're going to set this up. Michael Cole, Dolph Ziggler, and Byron Saxton are the announcers tonight. Yes, Dolph Ziggler, which is a vast improvement over Cole and Saxton and any of the other vanilla announcers they have. Before anyone says, oh, well, you never wrestled, but you were an announcer. Yes, I also hung out at training, learned how psychology was put together, and actually interviewed the talent about how to put them over, which it doesn't seem like either of these guys do. It's just so horrible. Anyway, so Drew McIntyre enters. They do a recap of his angle with Randy Orton, which takes way too long. McIntyre knows that Orton intends to do more to him. He's amazed that Orton still has a head after last week. So we're talking about decapitation now. Anyway, he said he should have taken more time off, but in fact, he would have had to surrender the championship, which he wasn't going to do. They then get to the proposal of a ambulance match at Clash of the Champions. I suppose this is this is because, well, both of them have been injured by each other, so that's the next logical stipulation. Anyway, McIntyre realized that Orton may not make it to the network purview because he is the, quote, most deadly weapon in all of sports entertainment. No, somehow I think that's Vince McMahon's warped mind. Anyway, McIntyre puts over the Claymore kicks, and he said that his pants were too tight and he didn't want to rip his crotch, so he came up with the kick, and he then photoshopped all the people that he's kicked. This is just horrible. The crowd does not care about this. Adam Pearce comes out and says that Orton may not be able to compete at Clash of the Champions, and that if Lee beats McIntyre tonight, then Lee will take Orton's spot and get the title shot at McIntyre. There's wonder of who put Pearce in charge. I don't know. If this was a real sport, wouldn't like all decisions be made off camera, and then the announcers would just deliver them? Like, why do we have to have authority figures making decisions on live television? It was stupid 20 years ago. It's stupid now. Anyway, so Lee enters, shakes hands with McIntyre. Lee pulls him in. Lee's about to leave. Then they cut to commercial. Raw Tag Team Champion Street Profit defeat SmackDown Tag Champs Cesaro and Nakamura in a non-title match 926. Explain to me why we're doing this when we're just going to do brand versus brand at Survivor Series. Explain to me why we're doing this with champions where one champion looks weaker than the other. If we want all three brands to get ratings on television because we're so scared of AEW and other competition supposedly, then shouldn't all the champions look strong? Anyway, Ford goes for dive early, but he's cut off before he gets there. He gets dropped on the edge of the barricade. This does not look like fun. And then Dawkins tags in, hits Nakamura with a spinning back elbow and a T-bone suplex for a near fall. Cole basically says that Dawkins has lost weight and he's quicker now. Why do fans at home care about this? Nakamura comes back, hits a sliding German suplex, but Dawkins catches him with a spine buster. Ford goes for the frog splash, which I have to admit, Ford's frog splash is a thing of beauty. Might be the best one since Eddie Guerrero, and I think he could rival Eddie on a night. And that's saying something. Anyway, he gets his knees up, leads to a near fall. Cesaro uses a big swing. Nakamura hits a dropkick out of that. Dawkins breaks up a cover. Cesaro comes out with Schoolboy, hits a big uppercut for near fall, and follows up with a series of uppercuts. The uppercuts in the corner do look cool. Cesaro hits a superplex. Dawkins makes a blind tag. Dawkins gives Cesaro a frog splash for a pinfall win. Street Profits win clean. So, yet again, we are reminded that the show that's on free television as opposed to cable television, and oh yeah, we're in a pandemic, so if anyone's going to cut cable and was on the fence about it, the pandemic might make them want to save $100 a month. So cutting cable right now could be a thing. Anyway, the free television tag team champions lose to the cable tag team champions. Stupid. I mean, I like the fact that they're both fighting in the sense of a new match, but champion versus champion stuff is just stupid because it never pays off. Anyway, Lana speaks with Garza backstage. Lana is upset that Mickie James is getting a title shot and should be Natalya instead. On what planet? People want to see Natalya do anything remotely near a main event picture anywhere at this moment. She's been there for 13, 14 years? And it's just old by now. Anyway, Garza's flirting with her. Zelina Vega and Andrade come in. Lana leaves. Vega is not happy with recent actions. Garza is tired of being dominated by a woman, and he's annoyed with Andrade being the golden boy. Zelina interrupts them. She said she couldn't do this anymore. She storms off, so I guess she's broken up with them or something. We go to Dominic, who's shown backstage with his family before the Hurt Business cuts a promo. MVP routinely, week by week, is one of the better individuals as far as promos are concerned. He comes out, he puts over the fact that Cedric Alexander is a member of the Hurt Business. He says the business is booming. He puts over everybody in the Hurt Business. Alexander has a job to do, and he knows what that is. He knows how to succeed now. He says, Cedric says the fans didn't know what it was like to get beat down every week, and by three bad people. Ricochet and Cruz come out. Cruz says that Alexander sold them out, and he's weak-minded. Cruz said that they always had his back, but Alexander disgraced them. Ricochet at a point says they're supposed to be best friends, and Ricochet said the Hurt Business coming after them every week was not as painful as what Alexander did, and then we move into Cedric Alexander with the Hurt Business defeating Ricochet with Apollo Crews in 8 minutes just under 8.5. I mean, not a bad. The promos weren't terrible, and I hope that this leads to Cedric Alexander getting some sort of push or something. But in reality, if you're losing, and somebody offers you money to join them, in real life, wouldn't you at least consider it? If in the world of wrestling, how much money you make is dependent on how much you win or lose, wouldn't you go with a winner? I mean, doesn't that kind of make Cedric a sympathetic figure in some ways? Anyway, Cruz attacks Benjamin on the outside during the match. When he tries to interfere, this leads to Ivar running out, brawling to the... Eric runs out and runs to the back, and they brawl. Ivar is on the shelf, and Ivar is going in for neck surgery. Anyway, Ricochet hits a super kick, a dragon suplex. Alexander avoids a dive, nails a Michinoku driver for a near fall. Alexander right back with a lumbar check for a pinfall win. Celebrations interrupted by Retribution promo. So they wait all this time to talk. I don't think, maybe I've missed them talking, but I think this is the first time, maybe at most second time we've heard them talk. They hate the Machine, which, how do people know what the Machine is? And they all got tricked into believing in WWE. Basically, is the undercurrent. You know, I guess there's multiple members to this. There's a way they could have done this. You know, you could have masked ladies and gentlemen, and they're out there and they're saying, you know what, this was my dream. This was my dream my entire life. And I get here, and all I find is politics. All I find is people who kiss butt, who are completely adroit of any real talent. Some of us look better than average. Some of us are better in the ring than average. Some of us talk better and can sell tickets. Some of us can do it all, but they hold us back. I mean, there's a way they could have done this promo that was so much better. Anyway, Mickie James is in. She says she loves the industry and loves that it pushes her to be at her best. High-stakes matches like tonight bring out the best in her. She wants to win the title again. She wants to be champion again. They bring out the fact it's been 10 years since she's been champion during the match, which I don't like that. So if I'm watching at home and I'm like a new fan, say I've been a fan for 2 or 3 years, I go, wait a second. This chick's been around for 10 years and she's still there? Either she's really good or the rest of the division really is awful. Either way, it doesn't really sell anything. So Pierce yells at security. Hurt Business comes up. Hurt Business, MVP basically says they need to upgrade from boys to men when it comes to security and not the singing group. They said that this not upgrading could lead Pierce to being put out of a job. Pierce thanks them for volunteering. And the Hurt Business said they don't volunteer. And they said they'd send him a bill. Asuka defeats Mickie James in just under 12 minutes. Long match, probably the best match of the night. Best match of the women in the Raw brand for a while. Mickie James in control early and gets a 2 count. Asuka misses a hip attack. James catches her with a mitt kick, but Asuka goes to the outside and they go to break. James uses a Rana out of the corner. Asuka comes back with a hip attack. James hits the Thesz press like she used to, and it's off the buckles for a near fall. Strikes. And Asuka hits a spinning back fist. She follows up with yes kicks. And then James, after strikes, applies a single leg crab. James tries a Boston crab. Asuka counters with a roll-up. James follows with another mitt kick, and it did not look good. Not with the camera angle they used anyway. They get a rope play, and then Asuka applies an Asuka lock. James floated over. Looks like she's going to do some sort of submission. They call for the bell as if James had submitted, but everyone seems to be caught off guard by this. The announcers are confused. Mickie James is confused. Asuka is the winner. Referee says that James says she couldn't continue. So that's kind of weird out of nowhere. Vega enters to confront Asuka. Ref checks on James. Zelina Vega says she's been wasting her time managing ingrates. She claims that Asuka was handed the belt by Becky Lynch and called herself one of the best in the business. Asuka laughs at her. Vega slaps her. And Vega bails out before Asuka can get her hands on her. U.S. champion Bobby Lashley defeats Eric of Viking Raiders in just over 2 minutes. I'm not a fan. What I am a fan of is MVP joining in on commentary. So, I mean, they talk about Ivar's injury, and MVP takes credit through the Hurt Business. Eric hits some strikes. Lashley comes back with a spine buster and a dominator, and Lashley applies the Hurt Lock full Nelson for the submission victory. Poor Eric. I like the Viking Raiders. I don't necessarily think it's going to be good for him while Ivar is out. And with a neck surgery, that could be months, if not a year. Woman backstage doing interviews asked Kevin Owens if he knew why Aleister Black turned on him. Owens said he didn't know, and then gives a bunch of bogus reasons. Owens didn't care why it happened. All he cared about was how he was going to inflict damage on Black and send him back to his hiding spot. He wanted Black to learn that he needs to be careful who he picks a fight with. And he told the announcer girl that he's not worried because he's Kevin Owens. I don't know. I mean, some people like this, but I've seen Owens do decent promos. This is just boilerplate, and, you know, he could have gone with, I thought we were friends. He could have gone with the guy was always creepy to me, but he just come up with this bogus boilerplate sitcom written stuff that just yuck. Anyway, Braun Strowman approaches Shane McMahon, wants to enter the underground part of the arena, and he's going to lay a path of destruction. He gets in the room. He's happy with this. A very sad and awkward Murphy approaches Seth Rollins in the locker room. He's apologizing for what happened last week. Rollins is happy to see him, though. Murphy is ashamed over what took place and said that atonement and apologizing was all part of the process. Rollins then says that the steel cage match was a perfect opportunity to send a lesson. Rollins said that he wants Murphy to stay in the back after demanding that he do this and striking him to get him to do this. And Murphy said yes, sir, to this. Kit Kat commercial with R-Truth. Liv Morgan helps him to come and break it, and he's literally talking to the Kit Kat. I don't know. This was just awkward. Dominic mentions in a promo that he can't back down from any challenge. Ray said that he and Angie were probably more concerned than Dominic, but they're there to support him. Ray also says that Seth is the one that needs to be worried. Steel cage match, Seth Rollins and Dominic Mysterio. with Rey, Angie, and Aaliyah Mysterio. I mean, this is, it is what it is. It's not. I don't agree with putting. This is just me, but I don't agree with putting Rey in any sort of a, sorry, Dominic. I was thinking Dominic said Rey. Anyway, I don't agree with putting Dominic in a gimmick match this quickly. It doesn't make sense. It's not good for business, and it's a waste of his talent, and it's a waste of, first ever cage match, first ever lumberjack match, first ever fill in the blank, whatever here match. Anyway, so Rollins stops Dominic from escaping the cage early. They basically fight to keep him in the cage. Dominic hits a DDT for near fall. Murphy approached, handed Rollins a kendo stick. Rollins uses the kendo stick. Rey seemed concerned but didn't get involved. They go to commercial very abruptly for a reason that doesn't make sense. Rollins is rubbing Dominic's face against the cage when we return. Dominic fight back and sends Rollins in the cage. Rey hands his son a kendo stick, and it's used on Rollins. Why do we have a cage if people are just going to hand each other weapons? Dominic repeatedly tossed Rollins into the cage. He hits a spinebuster for near fall. Rollins tries throwing him into the cage. Dominic starts climbing. Rollins goes after him and crotched him. Dominic sweeps his leg. Rollins is also crotched on the top. And then Dominic crawls towards the door as Rey encouraged him. Murphy attacks Rey. Murphy swings the door, and he assumes he's hitting Dominic, but he ends up hitting Seth. Murphy tries climbing outside of the cage. Dominic knocks him off. Dominic gives Rollins a frog splash for near fall. Dominic tries crawling out of the cage. Rollins catches him and hits a suplex and a Falcon Arrow for the near fall. Dominic tries a schoolboy. Rollins kicks out of that and hits a couple of curve stomps for the win. I mean, not a bad match. Dominic is a lot better than he has any business to be at this point in his career, even though he's had some indie matches and trained with Lance Storm and did a lot of cool stuff. But still, this should have been saved, and it should have been built to something. Throwing it away on a Raw that no one's going to care about in 2 weeks is an insult to a star you could make in Mysterio. Anyway, Rollins attacks Murphy post-match, swings the cage door in his face. Rey manages to sneak behind and check on his son. Rollins left. He tells Angie that he hoped she did a better job raising Aaliyah. Angie and Aaliyah go into the ring to check on Dominic. Aaliyah quickly checks on Murphy right before that. I wonder, I don't know how old Aaliyah is. She may not even be old enough to do the storyline. I assume she's like 18, 19. Anyway, maybe there'll be a romance storyline with Aaliyah and Murphy at some point, because she paused and looked at him with concern, which just seemed out of alignment if they weren't going to do something with it. Anyway, they go to Raw Underground. I don't know why they're still doing this. They haven't paid it off to mean anything yet, so I'm kind of confused. Anyway, Ziggler submits a random guy. Riddick Moss fights him next. Strowman charges, and he knocks out Ziggler before taking down Moss. Ziggler tries fighting back, but he takes him down again. Caruso interviews McIntyre. He hopes that Lee did everything he can to win. He knew Lee was annoyed that he interfered in his match, but noted he only did it so that Orton didn't give him the RKO. Lee interrupted, told McIntyre he didn't want him dragging his name into and affecting his reputation. Lee recalled beating Orton when McIntyre did not interfere. Lee thought McIntyre was worried about him, and McIntyre said he wasn't afraid to let Lee stand on his own and let things be as they should be. Lee is about to touch the title belt, but McIntyre smacks his hand away and warned him not to. Lee wouldn't move his hand. McIntyre punched him. They're fighting. Blah, blah, blah. And then, which is just, it's stupid. Strowman takes out some other guy before knocking down Moss again. Titus O'Neil jumps in, tackles him, but Strowman beat him up too. Shane and an official had to stop Strowman from beating everybody up. I mean, if this Raw Underground thing is going somewhere, that's a good showing for Strowman. If it's not, then what was the point? Kevin Owens defeats Aleister Black next. Black attacked Owens from behind before the match starts. Match is underway, goes underway during the break. Owens is doing okay until his leg gets targeted. Black applies a knee bar. And Owens is doing a good job of selling. Gets a rope break. Owens comes back with a super kick before falling back down. Owens couldn't stand. So, Black sets up the Black Mass. He's distracted by the lights flickering, so Owens gives him a stunner for the pinfall win. At this point, like, WWE looks so gobsmackingly stupid. So, you have these people that are running in and ruining your national television, international television programs, which means they're on TV. You're telling me that in the country, since everything is currently on lockdown, no pun intended, because of COVID, in the state of Florida, they can't find an actual security team or police officers to get rid of these retribution people? Like, at some level, you could even, if you want to have any credibility at all, you could say something like, the local police say that because the members of Retribution claim to be contracted talents, it's a workplace dispute and they won't get involved. Say something that explains why the police wouldn't become involved here. Anyway, then we kind of moved into Lee finds McIntyre in the back again. They attack him. Pierce breaks things up, threatened to cancel their match tonight and at Clash of the Champions. Then Ruby Riott and Liv Morgan defeat Natalya and Lana in just over a minute. Yes, they actually had to put their gear on for like 75 seconds of action. Nia Jax, Shayna Baszler do commentary for this. It's as endearing as it sounds. They defend the women's tag team championships against Ruby and Morgan at Clash of the Champions. So we've gone from Sasha and Bayley to Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler. One of these things is not like the other, and their opponents are Ruby Riott and Liv Morgan. I mean, talk about falling off a cliff here, folks. Anyway, so Ruby and Morgan win quickly after Morgan gives Lana a modified code breaker. And Riott follows up with a Riott kick. Post-match, Baszler chucked Natalya into the ring post. Jax gives Lana a Samoan drop through the announcer's table. Maybe Lana's being written off television. Anyway, Strowman is back at Raw Underground, takes out some random guy before being challenged by Moss again. Strowman knocks him down with a right hand. Ziggler jumps in, and they double team Strowman. Strowman beat them both up anyway. Dabba-Kato steps in the ring and confronts Strowman. Shane excitedly said they could fight next week. And this is what happens. Keith Lee and Drew McIntyre end in dun 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 a no contest. Cole said there'd be an ambulance match at Clash of Champions for the title, regardless of if Orton could go or not, and either Orton or Lee would be the challenger. Both McIntyre and Lee were all business during their entrance. Lee nails McIntyre in his injured jaw before knocking him off out of the ring, and then Lee says he's in control at like 30 seconds into the match. They go to break. Lee comes back and hits him in the jaw again. McIntyre fights back this time. Hits a belly-to-belly suplex followed by a clothesline. Lee blocks a DDT. McIntyre hits a spine buster. Ouch. For a near fall. Lee comes back with a clothesline for a near fall of his own. They fight into the buckles. Lee nails a superplex off the second rope for near fall after McIntyre slips out of the Spirit Bomb attempt. They collided with crossed bodies. Retribution appeared, and there's at least 10, 12, 15 of them. Lee and McIntyre attacked them all, but they were overwhelmed. Retribution beat up both guys, and the Hurt Business comes out onto the stage. They marched down to the ring and brawled with Retribution. Show ended with McIntyre and Lee each hitting flip dives into the group and knocking everyone down. So, basically, everyone's fighting against Retribution, although we don't know really why Retribution's here other than the fact they don't like where they work. And everyone's going to stop their existing matches to fight Retribution, except to be really mad at each other until Retribution shows up. Great story. Anyway, that's your Raw review. I should have up through October or so of the World Class review up tonight as well. So we'll be back with more right after this.